Let me say one other thing. I came on your program a year ago and we talked about the things when this first flared up. And I said I watched in 1979 when the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini said, democracy, democracy, democracy. He returned, and within 8 weeks after returning, he declared Iran to be an Islamic republic. Our media paid no attention to the history of this.
They didn't want to.
Another connect the dot?
Yeah.
Flash forward from 1979 to February 2011. The Egyptian military, our pals, invites back for the first time in 30 years to his native Egypt, Yusuf al-Qaradawi, another of these clerics, not Redbeard, but very great.
Yeah, wheelchair crazy man.
Not so crazy. Got his own program on Al Jazeera, and you know how popular Al Jazeera is.
I define crazy as anybody who says, let's kill all the Jews, let's kill all the Americans. I know he's not crazy.
What's crazy is that we discount what they're saying.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's like Mein Kampf. It was crazy, but it's their program, and they're serious about it. And what did he say in February, in front of, by some estimates, 2 million people in Tahrir Square, with the blessing of the Egyptian military?
Believe the Prime Minister was sitting next to him,
with
standing
the
next to him.
support of the Muslim Brotherhood, without the secularists. This Ghanim fellow who was the Google face of the Democrats, he's gone. He wasn't allowed on the stage. But what did al-Qaradawi say from that platform? It's time to march on Al-Quds, Jerusalem. So you'd see how, as you say, Glenn, we've got a Khomeini kind of moment with this guy, this cleric, being brought back to commandeer and steer this uprising in a way that is going to be toxic for the people of Egypt, our friends in Israel, and for us.
Let me ask you guys, as reasonable people, and ask the audience at home, let's say that there is an Indian reservation that is about that big in the United States of America. And they're causing all kinds of problems. And everybody in America is saying, it's these Indians that are causing all this problem in all of the states. And they have too much reservation. If they would just give up that much land, it'd all be okay. Is there anyone that you know that is reasonable that would say that that would happen? You would say, well, leave the damn Indians alone. You guys, if you can't handle all of this land, you guys have problems. It's not the Indians, because they only have that much land. That's it. Look at the size of Israel. What do you think? Do you think it's the Indian reservation that's causing this? What the hell is wrong with people? What's wrong with people? And we're sitting here at a time where, the word is very clear, we're sitting here at a time where people are dismissing, and they use Al-Quds. Our own administration officials have used the words Al-Quds. Nobody knows what that means. You want to explain what that means, besides just Jerusalem?
Well, it is a reference to the idea that it is Arab land, it is Muslim land, and it will be freed of the occupiers. And this is a central tenet of Sharia, that what is ever Muslim land is always Muslim land. Jerry Boykin and I have had many conversations about something else that's going on in the way of this stealth jihad, Glenn, that people in this country ought to be aware of. Namely, the effort to insinuate into the so-called interfaith community the Sharia tentacles. And one of the manifestations of this has been this idea that Muslims would come to rabbis or come to pastors and say, we've got overflow crowds at our mosque. Could we just borrow your church or your synagogue for some of our services? And tell them what you asked, Jerry, about whether that's advisable.
Well, Sam Solomon, a former Muslim cleric, has written a very good book about this whole thing, in which he explained that when a Muslim group comes into your church or place of worship, any place of worship, they consecrate that as holy ground for Allah. Well, I don't think Christian pastors have any clue what they're doing when they allow that, because I don't think the congregation would want their church to be consecrated and declared holy ground for Allah. So, and this is happening, and we have this thing called Chrislam that has, started this past summer, where we say that we all worship the same God. Well, I've read the Quran and the Bible, and I don't see how we all worship the same God. It's just not there.
Also, may I just say quickly that one of the other aspects of those services is prayers that are about killing Christians and Jews. Again, something that these pastors, these rabbis are obviously witless about. To make the point that Jerry made at the beginning again, it's important to say endlessly, I think, there are Muslims who don't want to kill Christians and Jews. There are Muslims who don't want to dedicate churches or change America from a constitutional republic to a Sharia, Islamic caliphate. But they are not being heard from. They are not being empowered. They are not determining what's happening within their community. I'll go a step farther.
Do you remember the people that were testifying? And Peter King was called,
was one of them.
Yeah, and they were testifying, and they were called racist and xenophobic and everything else. Right. Those people were testifying, and they were crying out, please, please help us. You come to America. If you come to America and you're bringing Sharia law and everything else, and you want that here in America, you know what? Beat it, pal. Go find some other place, because that's not what we do here. You come here and you say, I want to be a good Muslim, and I want to worship, and I don't want to behead anybody, and I'm not going to try to take anything over. That's fine. We are accepting people. That is our Achilles heel. It is our greatest blessing. It is the greatest blessing of the world that we've always had, is live and let live. We don't want to take your stuff. How many wars have we fought and taken stuff, General?
We have never occupied another country's land, except, as Colin Powell said, a little bit of land to bury our dead on.
That's it. We don't take people's stuff. We let them live and let live.
But to the extent
but they don't.
that this tolerance,
yes,
these civil liberties, can be used against us,
right.
It goes right to this playbook. Destroying us from within by our hands.
It's the same thing that the socialists and the radicals and the Saul Alinsky types are doing to us too.
Exactly.
It's communist.
They're doing it together.
You fought the communists, did you not? You recognize this?
Right out of the Marxist playbook.
Right. Okay. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Sharia law and how Sharia law is coming here in America.